Hello everybody, my name is Sanjeev Sharma. Welcome to my first video blog. I am the IBM Worldwide Technical Sales Lead for DevOps. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. What is DevOps? It's a buzzword, right? I mean, we hear about it everywhere. Every IT journal or blog you go to is talking about DevOps. There are conferences dedicated to DevOps happening, it seems, almost every month. So we're going to step back a little bit today and talk about what is DevOps. Let's explain it in some very simple terms. Now, DevOps as a term came about maybe 2-3 years ago as a movement, as a philosophy to help development and operations work better together, to have better collaboration, better communication, and the goal was to build trust and reduce the friction we see in these handoffs between dev and ops. And I remember when I was a developer, which was many years ago, that transition used to last over a weekend when we used to deploy software, spending the whole weekend eating stale pizza, drinking not so warm coffee, and getting the software out the door, out to production, deploying it. And on Monday morning, in most cases, nothing worked. I'm told it's still the same thing today, although the coffee has been replaced with Red Bull. But other than that, it's still the same issues. But let's talk about it. So this movement came around called DevOps. And today it has become broader than just Dev and Ops. Here is our view of DevOps here at IBM. It is, how do we get an idea, which is at the design stage, which is at the ideation or paper stage, or a requirement which has come from a customer or maybe from marketing, or an enhancement request, or maybe it's a bug fix for a bug which has been identified. How do we get that out to production where it is getting value being used by a customer? Or in some cases, you can't get it out to the customer yet because of regulatory concerns or the processes you might have in place. A customer surrogate who is now using the software, whatever you deployed, the idea, the new feature, the enhancement request, the bug fix, and based on how they're utilizing it, you get some feedback. And using that feedback to improve. And DevOps proposes that we improve a few things. Number one, we improve the product itself. So what did we learn? We deployed a new feature. The customers are using it. How is it performing? How is it functioning? Is it meeting our expectations of the problem it was supposed to fix? If it's a bug fix, did it fix the big bug? Have other bugs being identified because of that? So we get that feedback, which helps us improve the product itself. If you're using agile development methodologies, then it will help us decide what goes into the next sprint. Out of a backlog, what are we going to use in the next sprint? What goes into the next sprint and how do we plan it? The other aspect of this feedback is working and utilizing the feedback to improve the deployment process itself or software delivery process itself. So there's a process. It's not as simple as we write code and we send it out to production. There's a whole number of stakeholders in between, right? People who are involved in creating and delivering the software. There'll be some business analysts. There'll be your line of business, which is or marketing from where that new enhancement request is coming. There'll be some business analysts, some designers, some architects, obviously some coders, some testers, your release engineer, your deployment engineer, your operations infrastructure engineers, people who own the environments. They are all now stakeholders in this process. And we have to get the software from one environment to the next. We have to get it tested. We have to get it obviously written up, coded. All that is a process. So the second aspect of DevOps is to use this feedback to improve that software delivery process itself. And we improve it in two ways. The number one goal is to reduce any kind of rework we might have to do. And the second one is to reduce any kind of overhead. So let me talk for a couple of seconds of what I mean by that. So let me give you an example, right? I was working with this one customer and they had adopted agile development methodologies, right? So every day, at the end of every day, they had a new build or a new integration release which was ready, integration build which was ready, and that had to be tested. Unfortunately, the testing team, the QA team, had a 3-day cycle, a lag in which it took them to do the test. So it took them 3 days to provision the environment, deploy the application, run the tests, and get the results back to the developers. So if a developer got some work done on Monday, he or she did not get the feedback from QA till Thursday. Now, during those 3 days, as much as she might want to, she had to continue doing work. And if a bug was found, that resulted in rework because she might have been adding code to code which was buggy. And that resulted in rework. If we can reduce that cycle, that testing cycle from 3 days to a few hours, which this customer of mine was able to do, we can reduce rework. Overhead. To me, developers are paid to write code. That's what they do, developers, right? So if a developer now has to spend hours deploying software to a dev environment or writing instructions on how the QA team can deploy software to a QA environment, in my opinion, that is overhead. And if that can be reduced by automation, we are improving our software delivery process. So the origins of DevOps, if you listen to some of the terms I've used, some of the philosophies and principles we are talking about here, come from lean thinking. The idea of lean thinking is to constantly improving your process. It led to lean manufacturing. It is what led to the agile movement. It led to Kaizen and the Toyota way of doing lean production in factories. And now it is leading to improvement in the software delivery process of what we call DevOps. So it's a very quick introduction, and hopefully we'll have a few more video blogs. And I wrote a book recently called DevOps for Dummies. Feel free to download that at www.ibm.biz/DevOps for Dummies, all lowercase. And you can find out more about DevOps and learn more about it. Thank you for your time.